Welcome to New Release Review, part of the Movie Friends podcast. My name is Seth. Today we're talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes from 2024, directed by Wes Ball. We will be discussing spoilers throughout this entire episode, so if you haven't seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, or maybe even some of the other ape movies, I don't know, turn this off, go watch all 30 of them, come back, and listen to this episode. My guest for today is Daniel Shomber. Daniel, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. This is the episode that they don't want you to hear because we had to reschedule this twice.
Yeah, that's true. Proximus was after us.
Yeah. So you are a fan of the ape movies. Is that true?
Yes, I do very much enjoy these talking ape movies. Very much. I'd say since I was a kid. Yeah.
Have you seen all of the original series?
Yes, I was able just to a rewatch of all of like the Roddy McDowell ones right before this new one. So yeah, I've seen those. I've seen the great Tim Burton one that everyone fondly remembers. And and I love all these new ones.
Do you like the Tim Burton one?
No.
Okay.
No, not really. I will say I did rewatch it just to be a completionist.
Sure.
Right beforehand, but it's kind of one of those funny things where it's a bad movie, but I can still be really entertained watching it because of just how much I enjoy how over the top Tim Roth is.
Yeah.
And Rick Baker's makeup effects on that are just amazing.
Yeah.
And, feel no guilt in enjoying that.
Right. I remember seeing that one in theaters as a kid. So
I remember too. That's one of I call it a foundational movie memory.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah. Because that was maybe that and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen were probably the first two movies where I realized that movie could be bad. That I went to.
See, I didn't even know that. I went to see Planet of the Apes and I was like, that was cool. They ran like monkeys and jumped real far and wow, cool.
See, I think I enjoyed all that also, but I have a distinct memory of with that ending, just kind of almost like everyone in the theater, and it was a pretty packed theater from what I remember. Like I just kind of remember everyone just kind of being like, "What the heck?" Like not in a good way.
Well, so that one, and I always bring this up, and I don't know why I feel so compelled to defend that movie that I really don't like. But that ending is the original ending from the book that the Planet of the Apes is based on.
Pierre Bowl, I think.
Yeah.
As one of the names I was looking up.
Yeah.
Right beforehand. Yeah. I don't know. I've gotten to where now that I've watched, all of the originals and all these new ones, is like, do I read the book now? Do I go and watch the TV series that was only 14 episodes that I didn't know existed until my dad told me about it the other day? So well, I don't know. I need to be an ape completionist.
You got to do something while we're waiting for the 5th of these new series.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you're chomping at the bit for us to get to this movie. So anyway, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, just kind of general first thoughts. How did you feel about this one? I
was very satisfied with it as a fan of, these newer ones and, the series in general. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed just kind of a continuation of the storyline, having it be many generations later, seeing the effect that Caesar, has left on this world now that, he's kind of passed into history.
Right.
And I enjoyed all the characters, which is the main thing that, I mostly look for in a movie, I think, is if I can attach myself to the characters and if I think the movie has sincerity. And I think that this one has passed both of those. Yeah, I'd say I really enjoyed it. I do think, kind of like a cliche thing to say, but I do think that it has some pacing issues, kind of in certain parts of the movie. But, really, that's one of the only issues I can have with an Apes movie. Then yeah, good time all around.
Pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the Caesar trilogy. The first one, not so much, especially before we knew that there were going to be two more, and it was like,
Yeah.
why are we doing a Planet of the Apes origin story kind of a thing?
Yeah.
And I think now, like in the context of the three movies, I think it works a little bit better. But at the time, I was just like, I'm okay. I don't really need this,
Yeah.
But I did really like the next two, and so when this one starts with, Caesar's dead body, I was kind
Yeah.
of like, oh man, like I thought we were gonna kind of move away from this, and then we do, and I was pretty surprised that they would go to all the trouble of like animating that and showing that, just to then be like many generations later.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that opening caught me by surprise because from, everything that I had, knew about the movie going into it, I thought it was just going to immediately kind of pick up, way after, and we just kind of hear about Caesar, the way someone would talk about, someone from the Bible or something like that. But no, it is also, I gotta be a little selfish and say I just enjoyed seeing our favorite orangutan Maurice one more time.
Yes. And I was hoping that we would get like a good Maurice scene, like, oh,
Yeah.
now that he's gone. But no, it's just kind of, they're like General Zodding it a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I was like, is Andy Serkis going to get a credit for this or not? Like that's a little weird, how that would work, because it's like the likeness of the person that he originated the performance of, but it's not moving. So yeah, but anyway, but I enjoy this, and I like that we did really quickly move on to, hey, this is a totally new thing. I loved all of the world building, the little
Yes.
satchels that they wear, that they keep their eggs in, that we have tribes that have never heard of each other, like the bird tribe, or the eagle tribe.
Like I think the Eagle Clan,
Eagle
Tribe.
Clan. Yeah. They seemingly had no idea about Proximus's kingdom, which is
Yeah.
a few days journey away. We know that they had like the Forbidden Zone already, that idea already kind of set up. So it makes sense why they didn't know them. But I loved all of that stuff. And we already know that the director of this, Wes Ball, is going to be helming a Legend of Zelda film. And so
Yeah.
the whole time I'm watching this, I was just like, okay, yeah, I can see it. So much of playing a Zelda game is just walking around, even before they became 3D. And
Yeah.
this had some really good walking around, there's definitely things that you could look at and say, oh, you could trim here, you could trim there. But I really enjoyed watching the CGI characters interact with like the natural environment. And I am
Yes.
not a CGI guy at all.
Yeah, I'm not really a CGI guy really either until something like this or an Avatar or something that I feel like I can really, like when I'm looking, when it's like a close-up shot of a chimpanzee and I'm just like looking at all the detail and just kind of boggling my mind on how they're able to get it to look.
Yeah.
Like I could just reach out and touch the ape.
Right. Yeah,
So,
this one, it's funny you bring up Avatar. I also really do not enjoy Avatar. And I went to
oh
see The Way of Water in theaters, and I was like, I'm going to have, open mind, open heart, clear eyes, can't lose. And I just sat there the whole time like, I don't buy any of this. I don't buy it.
wow.
And this movie, I felt like, did that idea better because we're not on like an alien planet. And so there are things that we can reach out and touch, like it
Yeah.
feels like, yes, there are these obviously fake characters, just like in Avatar, but they work so well with their environment, and their environment is real. And so it just works. It
Yeah.
worked for me. It worked for me a lot better, this time around.
Dude, that is wild to hear.
What?
Honestly, well, yeah. Well, I didn't know about your Avatar
Oh,
dislike. So
something I have to keep very close to my chest and, not tell people on
yeah,
the internet.
I was
So,
gonna say there's certain people will really kind of take up the pitchforks on that one.
yeah.
Maybe not as much as certain directors who have a fan base, where he keeps putting out extended cuts.
Sure.
Or someone we're not gonna name.
Right.
But
No, and my thing with Avatar and all movies that I don't enjoy is like, I want to enjoy it. I don't go into a movie
yeah,
hoping to not like it. And so when
yeah,
I see everybody so excited and talking about what a transcendent experience it is for them, I'm on the outside like sad, crying in the rain. Like, oh,
oh
I wish that Avatar did that for my
yeah,
brain and for my heart. And it just doesn't. But luckily this movie did. I wouldn't say that I like flat out love this movie, but
yeah,
like you mentioned, there's a real sincerity to which with which they approach the subject matter. And there were characters that I knew their name and I cared about and I was interested in. And I love anytime a movie kind of just drops you in and doesn't give you big exposition dumps.
yeah,
Yeah, so like we understand over time the Eagle Clan and what they do and how the ceremony works,
yeah,
and eventually we learn how Proximus's kingdom gained their weapons. Like there are things where we're kind of wondering, how does this work or who is this? And they do get answered, but they get answered in a natural way as the story progresses. And I appreciated that because big blockbusters, they're not interested in doing that.
no, not usually. I feel like I don't know. I feel like with this and Dune,
Mhm.
I'm pretty happy with some of the more recent ones. So we might be it might be starting to pay attention a little bit. At least I can maybe naively hope that
Yeah.
but
Yeah, trust
we
the
might be on the
audiences
upswing.
that they'll get it.
Yeah.
They'll get it eventually. You won't lose them. They won't lose interest, and be like angry that they're confused. And I mean, maybe some people were. I don't know, but
No, I really don't know what you could be really super confused about. Honestly, I feel like everything felt kind of natural in this progression, and I don't know. I didn't really have any questions about the world that
Mhm.
they were inhabiting. I was just excited to see all of it.
So we don't really get a full on answer as to how many generations have passed since
Yeah,
Caesar, and I did kind of like that as well.
yeah, I
It
did
could
as
be
well.
20, 100,
Yeah,
you
just
know,
many.
right. When we go into the bunker, I was like, well, it can't be, thousands of years. We can't be
No.
talking thousands of years because we've got paper that's hanging on the wall that I'm pretty sure would, disintegrate if it were handled. But and also like I mean, I know that the government probably has some good high-tech generators, but I'm not sure just, flipping a switch
You gotta love it when that's all it really comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Owen Teague as
Oh
Noah,
yes,
as main character Noah. How did you feel about him?
I really liked Noah, and
Mhm.
I really enjoyed that his lead performance. I thought a lot of times, and maybe just because I've been rewatching them all, but he kind of like a Roddy McDowell
Yep. Hmm.
affectation a little
Hmm.
bit
Yeah.
in some of it, and so I've really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed his friendship they had with his two chimp buddies.
Hmm.
You know, he has his buddy, and then he has the one that he has a crush on.
Yep.
Kind of making him more, kind of bit more of that kind of humanity, so to
Right.
speak, sprinkled in.
Right.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed watching him. I really enjoyed his progression. I kind of sometimes some of it, the film kind of had like a bit of a Joseph Campbell feel,
Hmm.
like the whole monomyth thing.
Hmm.
It starts, you see his world, you see, his little goals, aspirations they has. There's this inciting incident, it all changes. He has to go out into, this land that he's never been to, gets a mentor dies, Just
Hmm.
all of that stuff kind of made me think about, Joseph Campbell and hero's journey and all that
Right.
fun stuff.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that this was not quite a revenge story, because he is hoping that they're alive and he's hoping to bring them back. So
Yeah.
it's not like a full on revenge story, but I didn't know what the story was. I saw the first trailer, way back when the first trailer came out, which God
Yeah.
knows how long ago that was. And I already was like, yeah, of course I'm going to watch the next Planet of the Apes movie. So I had kind of avoided a lot. Um, Honestly, when I saw the first trailer and I saw Proximus, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this, but I'm
Oh,
still
really?
in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm still in. I'm going to do this. But yeah, I didn't really watch anything. So I was really
Yeah.
um, pleased, to see this kind of like very quiet, shy, humble ape in Noah. He's
Yeah.
very nervous around his dad. He's very intimidated by him. He's trying to do what's right. We see time and time again, he's getting all these like very unfair shakes, and he really doesn't deserve to have them. Pretty
Yeah.
early in the film, we establish him as like a moral compass when Anaya wants to take all of the
Oh, yeah.
eggs. And he's like,
Yeah,
no,
and
no, no, we have to leave one.
because that's the
That's
law.
the
You gotta leave
law.
one,
Right.
and
And
all that, and all the mentions of like the law and like the lawgiver later when he learns about Caesar. That made me really, just as like a fan of the original movies, very happy because that's all in the original movies where we're talking about the lawgiver and
right.
all of that sort of thing, and like the mention of like the forbidden area, like the
Hmm.
forbidden zone, and
Right.
there's a lot of callbacks to that, specifically just the original with
Yes.
Heston,
Yeah.
that really made me happy. And I saw it with my dad, and who introduced the franchise to me, because he loved it when he was a kid. But yeah, but we were both just kind of sitting there, like I think during like the hunt, like the human hunt sequence where
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
they start playing that original,
Yeah.
like kind of like a remix of the Jerry Goldsmith music from the human hunt in the original film. That, yeah, is, anytime can see my dad be like a giddy little fanboy, I feel like a movie is or has a special place
Right.
for
Right. Right.
me.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think there is something to say for the special nature of the ape design from the first movies. It's just some of the best looking prosthetic work ever.
Yes,
We,
absolutely.
yeah, we went into that when we did our episode on Planet of the Apes, and I watched the documentary Making Apes, which if anyone hasn't seen that, really recommend checking it out. It's usually streaming for free, like on Tubi.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
Gotta love Tubi.
yeah, it's a great documentary and goes into like how time consuming and horrible the process was, but how much it paid off. And you show people the original Planet of the Apes nowadays, and unless you're a very pessimistic person, it's undeniable like how great
Mm,
those effects are. So
yeah.
so for me, like, I do miss that aspect to this updated series, but I feel like they're committed to telling good stories, where if the stories sucked, like if these if these movies were bad, bad dramas or bad sci-fi action films, it would be unforgivable,
Yes, it
so
would.
yeah, so like just that they've maintained a good story is it gives us enough goodwill to, you know
Yeah.
accept.
Yeah, because that's the thing about those, or at least for me, the very first Apes movie is, I do love, John Chambers, makeup work in
Hmm.
that, and it's amazing. But, and, that was one of the draws into the series when I was
Yeah.
a kid, was like, oh man, look at these people, they're looking like apes,
Right. Right.
But
I'm
that Rod Serling story that kind of brings kind of the I don't know, kind of allegorical
hmm
stuff, if you want to say it, kind of up to a head. That's kind of always been, I guess, what I enjoy the most about the series.
yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of continues into this one, I think, with kind of how Proximus kind of takes this legacy of Caesar, kind of twists it to his own, fortunes,
hmm
and that's definitely something we can see in real life
Oh
all the
yeah,
time. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And even Raka, who is this, teacher of the real Caesar, right? And Raka wears the
yeah.
symbol of the window, but
Yes,
they have no context for where that even comes from. Like
yeah,
it has now just become a symbol. They can't connect it to what it meant to Caesar. And so that is definitely uh the clearest like allegory that's going on here is
yeah,
obviously for any religion or just like uh philosophical leader or political leader or historical leader. Today in America, every day we're debating what the Constitution means
yeah,
and what the people who wrote it intended. And we're so far removed from it, and it's going through so many different filters over time that it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think, and I'm not sure
yeah,
what this person would actually want. And it's kind of heartbreaking in a way, because I want for there to be a good conclusion, but as far as we can tell, this series is working towards a circle, which would bring us back to Charlton
yeah.
Heston
Yes,
1968 one.
yeah, especially with the ending. That's my first thought. And all
Mhm.
this stuff with them looking into the telescope, and
Mhm.
I love that they didn't that with that initial scene where it just shows Noah kind of looking in and his
Oh yeah.
reaction, and not really showing what he sees.
Yeah.
But that is what I just kept thinking about, uh, about Heston's character, Taylor.
Right.
There, yeah, I was just saying, when's Taylor? Is he going to be coming back at any point
Right.
during these new ones, and
Right.
how's that going to be?
Yeah, I'm curious uh because I saw that they said that they had 8 or 9 films
Yeah,
planned.
it's just gonna be a whole saga.
Yeah,
Just
so I'm
going.
curious if they'll do, like, 3 trilogies over time, because I
Yeah,
think not that necessarily Noah's story has anywhere to go from here, not that it doesn't, but definitely all of the stuff with May and the humans who can talk,
mm,
that has to be going somewhere, and so I think that we
yeah,
don't necessarily need to do a big time jump between the fourth film, between this one and the next one. Um, but yeah, it's sad that we this is you know kind of destined to play out as a tragedy.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's a bummer.
yeah. There's always, I mean, even those originals, a lot of the endings to those original Planet of the Apes were just really heartbreaking stuff.
Hmm.
Especially the third one,
Yeah.
they have Escape from the Planet of the Apes, where you know, uh, gosh, I'm trying to think of Roddy McDowell, is where Cornelius and
Cornelius and Zero.
Vera,
Yeah.
yeah, where they get shot and they have to switch the baby, the
Hmm.
chimpanzee, like all that stuff. There's always been real kind of darkness to
Yeah.
the series. I mean, the first movie, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the ending to that,
Right.
you know. I mean, how cynical and great of an ending is
Right.
that? It's been Earth the whole time.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious if this series will explain how the Statue of Liberty
I
migrated
keep
from Liberty
I keep
Island
waiting. I keep waiting to
onto
see
the
the statue
coast.
show back up. Every time in this and in the ending to War of the Planet of the Apes, I was just like, oh, where's the statue? It's
Right.
on the beach somewhere.
Right, right, right. The big development in this movie is that humans have regained the ability to speak, but not all
Yeah.
humans. So it's unclear if there were humans who had maybe sequestered themselves off and so they weren't affected, if some humans have re-evolved the ability to speak. And so May, at first they call her Nova, then she reveals her name to be May, played by Freya Allen. How did you
Yeah.
feel about her?
I thought that she did a pretty good job in it. I know a lot of people usually say it's kind of like sort of Godzilla in a similar way, where it's like, oh, the humans are the least interesting part. But
Right.
I know I think that this time around, and in the last two, maybe not with one with James Franco,
Hmm.
but I think these last few have done a good job of making the humans compelling
Right.
and
Right.
interesting, where you want to know what's going on with them. Hasn't fallen into that trap of, like, I don't know if the Tim Burton one or one of the lesser of the original sequels, where it is kind of, you just want to see what is going on with Roddy McDowell or Kim Hunter and all those guys, all those original apes.
Yeah, I thought after we see kind of May's intentions and then the ending when she goes back to the base, a lot of her performance and motivations made so much more sense
Yeah.
to me, because the whole time I'm like, I don't get this. Like, I don't understand what she's doing. I don't understand why she's so guarded. Like when she comes across William H. Macy and he's speaking,
uh, yeah.
which is like
William H. Macy jump scare.
yes, he came out. He walked down those stairs. I was like, oh my god, I didn't expect to see you, William H. But just how she's interacting with him, and I'm like, okay, if you're a human who can talk, and you come across another human who can talk, who's working with the apes, how do you not have like 100 questions? You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's not until the end when we realize, like, oh, this isn't the first human that she's been around who can speak, and she's on like a secret spy mission this whole time, and like the people who Proximus's guys killed weren't just like her clan of humans.
Yeah.
They were probably also like scientists heading to
Yeah.
find that hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's definitely a case where the longer movie goes on, I think, like you say, like near the end, I think once, you understand what she's been doing the whole time, she becomes a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it, so yeah, so I enjoyed her performance. My favorite character is definitely Raka.
Oh yeah.
I love Raka. The orangutans are always the best
Yeah.
characters in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Even Paul Giamatti in the
I
Tim Burton
agree. I
one.
agree.
Orangutans are always the best. But I loved Raka. I usually don't try not to get too rambunctious in the theater, but when he got swept away, I did let out a little bit of a dramatic no. It's sad to see him go,
Yes,
but
and I kept hoping. I was like, maybe he comes back, but no, unfortunately.
apparently there's some like it's not. I don't even know if you can call it an after credits scene. I guess you call it like an after credits like audio snippet.
Oh
I
yeah.
guess where apparently like you can hear like a little like orangutan breathing like something where I like
Oh,
this is just something that when I went out of the theater, my friend immediately just kind of looked it up on his phone. I was like, oh, apparently this. So I'm not.
interesting.
So holding out hope that
Right.
maybe our
Hey,
boy
maybe.
shows back up.
Yeah, when the credits began, I googled, "Is there a post-credit scene?" Uh, and normally you have to wade through so much nonsense in an article.
Yeah. Yep.
This one came up right away. It was like, short answer, no, there is not. And
Yeah.
I saw this movie so late at night that I was like, I'm leaving. I'm not gonna sit here and watch these credits. I gotta
Yeah.
go. I think I was getting home like 1:30 that night. So
Yeah. Yeah. I've always do a similar thing where if it's any kind of genre, anything,
yeah,
I feel the need where it's like, okay, I guess I gotta see on my phone if there'll be some after credits thing I gotta sit around for. But I'm
yeah,
not too crazy about that, but
yeah. It's kind of like an encore at a concert where it's like
yeah,
that it's gonna happen, so you're all just like standing there clapping, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, we'll do this thing, even though we know you're coming back. And it's like, just if you're gonna do this whole end credit scene, just put it at the end of your movie. Who cares? Like,
yeah,
why do we have to do this big song and dance thing now?
yeah. I'm definitely not a fan of that trend. It's fun for some movies, but sometimes I just want it to be a whole, like a complete package, and not, kind
Yeah.
of that criticism that a lot of people have thrown at
Yeah.
Marvel stuff, where it's like, am I just watching this movie to see
What the
what's
setup
in
is.
credits? Yeah, what the
Yeah.
setup for the next three movies are gonna be.
Right. Right.
Instead of just enjoying, the complete package, of what I pay to see.
So I wanted to ask you about Kevin Durand as Proximus
Yes.
Caesar. How'd you feel about him?
I loved Kevin Durand in this. Yeah, he's one of I'm between this and did you see Abigail
I
the
did not have a
vampire?
chance to see Abigail yet. No.
Okay, but he is in that, and I wasn't like really like massive on Abigail, but him and Dan Stevens were
Hmm.
awesome in that.
Yeah, I love Dan
Dan
Stevens.
Stevens, yeah, he's another guy who's great and everything, but I don't know. I'm just happy to see kind of Kevin Durant getting a little bit of a summer here.
Yeah, absolutely.
After a year, like you brought up Lost
Yeah.
earlier, like he's great in that. He's just one of those guys. Even when it's a terrible movie,
Right.
like X-Men Origins Wolverine,
Right.
he's still good in it.
Right.
He's still one of those guys that you know. He's just one of those guys. He's great.
Yeah.
I love him.
I would love to see him come back, not as Proximus, obviously, but he was good in this. Give him a role, give him a
Eh,
gorilla to be in the next one.
Have him be a human.
Sure,
You can be a
sure.
human, yeah. Get to see the face.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I
Uh,
did just want to mention we talked about Raka, played by Peter Macon, and
yes.
he is kind of the perfect companion for Noah because
Yes.
he's not like
He's
kind of.
kind of like the opposite of Proximus in
Hmm.
a way. And I guess that might be another, I guess, a criticism I could throw is that I guess I would have really enjoyed to see Raka and Proximus interact, and
Mm,
maybe Raka confront him over his, like, you know, heresy,
right,
over
right,
how he's treating Caesar's legacy,
right.
something like that. But
Yeah, he's not like the hardened old battle master that Noah comes across and trains with and learns how to fight. And no, he's actually kind of like the best version of Noah in the future. He's very peaceful, and
yeah,
he's got very strong beliefs and morals about what should and should not be done. And what's tragic is, Raka dies in order to save May. And in the end, Noah learns the lesson of, oh, yeah, actually, we do not trust the humans.
yeah,
And I know
yeah. It
now
is heartbreaking.
why we don't trust the humans. And he doesn't see the gun, but when the camera comes around May's back and we see that she's holding a
Yeah.
gun, now we as the audience are also like, oh, we also don't trust the humans.
That's one of the things that I love about this series is how it's so easily makes you turn against humanity.
Mm-hmm.
When you're watching it, you're just wanting the apes to prevail the whole time, even
Mm-hmm.
though it's you're rooting against your own kind. So
Yep.
I love it about the series. Uh, yeah, and I love that reveal, of her having the gun, behind her little cloak. And I love that whole last scene of him giving her, the little window
Yep.
sigil and,
Yep.
saying that, it's important,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I love the whole finale of it. I love the way Proximus got taken out.
Yeah.
Chekhov's bird song.
Yep.
I
Yep.
guess you could call that.
Yep.
Yeah. And another great villain falling off a giant ledge
Yep.
into
Yep.
the abyss kind of ending.
I need that final sequence recut to Freebird.
God. Oh no.
when
That
when
that
we
that the dad and you really came out just then.
yeah. When we leave Noah and the Eagle clan and we follow May and we go into the bunker that she's in, I was like rubbing my hands together. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Here's the, you know, for the most part, the movie, it's almost like a fantasy film, right? Like it's
Yeah.
almost like a slight
Yeah.
departure from the sci-fi stuff. And then it snaps back into straight sci-fi, and I
Yeah.
said to
Yeah.
myself, I was like, oh yeah, this is the sci-fi stuff I've been waiting for. Here we
Oh
go.
yeah. Yeah. And I also just couldn't help, again, just because I guess my recent obsession with the original movies, just thinking about and Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the
Hmm.
little underground society of
Yeah.
humans in that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we'll be seeing these people worshiping a
Well,
bomb, an atom bomb. I don't know. Well, I don't know. You never
I
know.
mean, maybe the people that May is hooked up with, maybe they're good people, but maybe the people they contacted, you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
yeah,
we don't
it's
know,
true.
what doors they're kind of opening there.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
excited. I'm excited for the next one. Like I said, I wouldn't say that I like loved this movie, but I
yeah,
thought it was a good continuation of this new series. And it's hard to do with a new director totally new cast, totally new setting, and for them to pull that off, I think deserves a few extra, a few extra points of recognition.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd give it about 4 out of 5, or maybe like an 8 out of 10 or something like that. Whereas it's not, I don't have it on the same level as like Dune or Challengers. Just talking about recent movies, but it's still, I think, a great start to the summer movie season. And I'm just happy to. It's just a great feeling coming out of a Planet of the Apes movie. Just feeling happy, just enjoying a good movie. Just continuously being satisfied by a series. Because it's you don't want the law of diminishing returns to start coming into effect. And so far, that hasn't been the case for me.
Right. Yeah. No. I think especially the last film felt very, very well done, very serious, and this is like a departure of that while still being good.
Serious to an extent that like I've seen a lot of like criticism for that, where it's like I don't want to go back and watch War of the Planet of the Apes because of how dour and grim it is.
Yeah.
But that's never really been my problem with it. But I can kind of understand some of it. But yeah, I do like kind of the switch to kind of a more adventurous tone, not so, grim and overcast skies and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, this was, like I said, it was beautiful, great nature stuff. And the whole time I was like, I will watch a Zelda movie made by this guy.
Yeah. I gotta admit, I was a little nervous when he was first announced, because all I knew him was from the Maze Runner stuff. And I think I've watched the first one of those with a friend at his house, and I was like, that's nice, but I was never huge into those. So when he got kind of handed the reins, I was a bit nervous, but but now, hey, I'll see new Apes from him. I'll see Zelda. I'll see whatever.
I haven't seen any of the Maze Runner movies. That was a time where it was like, post-apocalyptic, dystopian young adult novels were everything.
These teenagers got to find a way to save us from the apocalypse.
I am number
4. Oh my gosh,
something like that.
That's a memory jog right there.
But yeah, like it was like all these were coming out at the same time, and I just couldn't keep
Divergent.
up. Right. So Maze Runner, I'm like, okay, whatever. And those movies could be great. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, when
no
West
shame
Ball,
on people that enjoy that stuff either.
No. But when West Ball was announced to take over for Matt Reeves, it was like, oh well, okay,
big shoes to fill.
Yeah, and I think they, like I said, for all the things that I already mentioned, new, you're doing a time jump, you're doing all new characters, you're doing, new setting, all new worlds to build, and for all of that, they did, I think, as good as you could possibly do. And then this movie made, had the biggest premiere ever for an Apes movie, and so
it's just seeing people excited about the Apes, it does my heart well. As a fan of all of these talking monkeys.
Yeah. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention?
We talked about the score a little bit when talking about the hunt scene, but I thought the score was really great. I think there's been, so far this year, between Dune and definitely Challengers, and I just watched Love Lies Bleeding the other night.
Oh yeah,
and the soundtrack in that is phenomenal.
That's
as well.
Also a great score.
So far it's been a really good year, soundtrack wise, and just movie wise in general. So it's been good on us movie lovers.
We've been saying for 3 years the movies are back.
Well, eventually, maybe we'll understand that and quit saying it.
Right.
Kind of accepting that it's finally happened.
Right.
I'll see 100 of these movies.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, they keep being as good as they are, and I'll keep coming back.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything else.
I agree. So Daniel, where can people find you online?
I'm on a great account known as Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope the sarcasm came through there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on there. I think it's at the Shomber. I've never changed my anything for as long as I've had it. So yeah, you can find me on there, or I'll talking about reposting stuff about Dune and other movies. Not really posting too much, but a lot of reposts.
Very cool. Hey, if you're listening to this, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Really helps the show. You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Do these titles need to get longer? What is left? Everything has happened to this Planet of the Apes. We've been under it. We've escaped from it. There was a battle. There was a war, a rise, a dawn, a kingdom. What could possibly be left? Let us know. Send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows. It also gives you voting rights for new episodes, monthly themes, and you get to help support a small little poor little podcast, like a little baby egg hanging out in the basket. You can put us in your little sling and you can care for us. You know what I'm saying? And then one day, yeah, we might come back and help you murder a monkey king. You never know. Anyway, thanks, Daniel. This was fun.
It was a great time. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you very much for listening. Till next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!